We spoke. What was it we said? That I needed to know what was inside the lighthouse. That moment's past.
Cosmic horror, like any other form of horror, is built on a very specific fear. All other elements of horror, darkness, isolation, or that of the supernatural, are secondary, deprived from a deeper and more primeval source. That source is the uncanny, a feeling that something is and yet should not be, something familiar and yet wrong.
It's not like us. It's unlike us.
But who decides what should be, what should not be, and what simply is? After all, on a planet inhabited by millions of species, this fear appears to belong to only one biological creation. Only one organism seems capable of experiencing it. The same organism that possesses what may be the most uncanny creation of all: human consciousness. Throughout most of human history, the dominant assumption, both in public life and within the circles of academia, has been that to be alive and conscious is, on the whole, quite alright. And as with most widely accepted propositions, there appears to be considerable evidence to support it. Human beings have surpassed every other known organism not only in their ability to survive, but in their ability to shape the world around them while doing so. We transform raw materials into cities and machines. We manipulate environments, predict threats, construct tools. We extend our capacity for survival far beyond what biology alone would permit. All of this rests on a single evolutionary development: our ability to think, our consciousness. It therefore seems deeply counterintuitive when the American writer Thomas Ligotti describes consciousness in his philosophical work The Conspiracy Against the Human Race as the parent of all horrors. For Ligotti, consciousness does something no other biological trait appears capable of. It forces an organism to reflect upon its own existence, to not only experience pain, but to ponder on its suffering, to not only live, but to live with the knowledge of death. Alex Garland's 2018 film Annihilation, inspired by the novel with the same name, explores a disturbingly similar idea. When a mysterious extraterrestrial phenomenon crashes into the coastline of Florida, it begins to alter the landscape surrounding it.
It started around 3 years ago. Blackwater National Park reported that a lighthouse was surrounded by something they termed a shimmer.
So, if consciousness refracts human experience, transforming ordinary biological processes into sources of existential dread, then what the shimmer does to its environment is the very same thing.
The shimmer is a prism, but it refracts everything.
It takes what is and turns it into something that feels as though it should not be. The whole of the animal kingdom, beings that do not possess or have not yet developed a level of awareness comparable to our own, experience their existence largely through instinct. Forces that, is safe to say, remain mostly unknown to them. According to Thomas Ligotti, consciousness is not a triumph of evolution, but a catastrophic accident, precisely because it estranges us from the very nature that produced it. We do not simply age. We know we are aging. We do not simply die. We live in anticipation of death. And this is the first part of the horror. Beings created under the same laws of instinct as any other organism, yet the very faculty of our minds that enables our flourishing is at the same time the one thing not strictly necessary for survival. For most of our history, and perhaps from the very moment we became conscious, human beings have struggled to accept a world governed by indifferent forces of nature alone. And so we tried to rationalize religions, science, philosophy, narratives designed to make a sense of a condition that remains fundamentally unclear.
A religious event, an extraterrestrial event, a higher dimension. We have many theories, few facts.
In The Conspiracy Against the Human Race, there is a recurring phrase throughout the book, a description of consciousness that Ligotti labels as malignantly useless. The word malignant is used to describe something that spreads harm from within the organism itself. Suffering, mortality, meaninglessness. Turning the simple act of being alive into something that must consistently be endured or explained. But the world we inhabit is neither good nor bad, neither just or unjust. It simply operates, much as the Shimmer does, without the horrors of awareness. It is us, the people inside it, the scientists in the Shimmer, who give the world interpretation.
It was dreamlike.
Not Paris.
Not always. Sometimes it was beautiful.
This is what Ligotti means when he speaks of consciousness as the parent of all horrors. And it is precisely what the team in Annihilation encounters inside the phenomenon. Something that should not be, and yet is.
Human Hawk's genes.
Hawks, what does Hawks mean?
They're the genes that define the body plan, the physical structure.
And the plants have human body plan arms, attached to shoulders, legs, to hips.
Ligotti argues that we recognize the same uncanniness within ourselves, and yet we remain, either by cognitive dissonance or the instinct of self-preservation, blind to it.
Literally not possible.
It's literally what's happening.
And yet this instinct of self-preservation is itself just another instinct, present in most life forms. It is then the tension between instinct and consciousness that allows us to keep participating in what Ligotti might describe as a play of puppets. If it were not so, most people would have to accept the conclusion implied by The Conspiracy Against the Human Race that being alive and conscious is not, in fact, alright. And that is why
Almost none of us commit suicide, and almost all of us self-destruct. In some way, in some part of our lives. These aren't decisions, they're impulses programmed into each cell.
we are contradictory creatures, puppets without a puppeteer, with the strings attached somewhere inside our minds, ignorant of our own ignorance, ignorant of the fact that behind the scenes of life lurks something pernicious that makes a nightmare of our world. An organism made of biological parts, driven by instincts it did not choose, carrying within its mind loops of fear, memory, and imagined meaning. Using the opening quote from The Conspiracy, an ancient Buddhist text from the Dhammapada, look at your body, a painted puppet, a poor toy.
When I look at my hands and my fingerprints, I can see them moving.
Of jointed parts, ready to collapse.
If I let you go and you tied me to a chair and cut me open,
A diseased and suffering thing,
are my insides gonna move like my fingerprint?
with a head full of false imaginings. The longer the team of scientists remain inside the Shimmer, the more they begin to feel the influence of its refractions.
It's in me.
As their bodies and minds begin to collapse, in much the same way, we slowly begin to realize that the reality of our own being is not something that can simply be undone.
It will be in all of us.
Because if the horror of our world lies in our perception of existence itself, then there is nothing to defeat. No enemy, no malignant alien intelligence to negotiate with.
Ventress wants to face it. You want to fight it. But I don't think I want either of those things.
If I am to be too indulgent and take the Shimmer as a literal, visual representation of our place on Earth, then the Shimmer, much like the natural laws we must obey, does not act with any purpose. We are the ones who interpret cause and effect as events such as attacks, intentions, conflicts to be resolved.
What did it want?
I don't think it wanted anything.
It attacked you.
It mirrored me. I attacked it. I'm not sure it even knew I was there.
But whatever we perceive as natural or unnatural, we cannot help ourselves but interpret what we see as something that happens with intention.
It came here for a reason. It was mutating our environment. It was destroying everything.
When the reality may be far simpler.
It wasn't destroying. It was changing everything. It was making something new.
To quote Thomas Ligotti, we are aberrations, beings born undead, neither one thing or another, or two things at once. Uncanny things that have nothing to do with the rest of creation, horrors that poison the world by sowing our madness everywhere we go.
I thought I was a man. I had a life. People called me Cain. And now I'm not so sure. If I wasn't Cain, what was I? Was I you? Were you me?
The parent of all horror is not something strange to us, but the very condition of our being. And every organism, whether conscious or not, shares the same destination, from which there is no escape.
Our bodies and our minds will be fragmented into their smallest parts until not one part remains. Annihilation.
In The Conspiracy Against the Human Race, Thomas Ligotti draws on the philosophy of the Norwegian thinker Peter Zapffe, who described 4 ways human beings protect themselves from confronting this realization. They can be roughly summarized as isolation, the deliberate suppression of disturbing thoughts about existence; anchoring, attaching meaning to stable ideas or institutions that give life structure; distraction, constantly occupying attention so existential awareness never has time to emerge; and sublimation, transforming existential anxiety into art, philosophy, or creative expression. These 4 ways are, of course, just different paths of coping with the same dilemma, the contradictory nature of our being. Which means that even this form of extreme pessimism, and by extension this video itself, may simply be another interpretation, carrying no more final authority than any other philosophical stance on existence, whether optimistic or pessimistic. I will not deny that this book and the ideas it contains can have an impact on the reader. Like the characters in Annihilation, you may find that the person who reads the first page is not quite the same as the person who reads the last.
You aren't Cain, are you?
I don't think so. Are you Lena?
In the end, perhaps everything discussed here is simply another way consciousness learns to endure its own reflection. Human beings will still continue to live, to create, to imagine, and to search for ways to understand the most uncanny creation known to them, the human mind.